So the following is my go-to strategy in terms of a lower body warm-up. And what it is you see three kind of planes of movement or challenging the trunk and the midsection in three different ways. Now you'll be familiar with the leg lowers as this is something I've given out before, but what we want to do here is focusing on intra-abdominal pressure as usual, and then we're lowering the leg down. Now what this is essentially doing is it's teaching the pelvis how to stabilize as we go into a hip leg extended or hip extended position to a hip flex position. And when you're bringing the knee up in an inhalation movement, so you're inhaling, bringing the knee up, it's a really good way of teaching that hip flexor of how to fire and pull the leg up whilst you got a stable pelvis, which is really, really important for the eccentric portion and hip stability of any kind of squat pattern or deadlift pattern. So I would do this for 5 reps per side, but sticking to the right side before going on to the next one. Now the next exercise, we're going to be looking to challenge through a different sling. So basically we're working on the left hip to right shoulder sling in this position here. So you put your arm out to the side to stabilize, then you're going to inhale in this position here. Now when you rotate your legs to the side, you're getting a massive stretch and expansion in this right side here. So you think of it underneath your right ribs now are going to be very, very stretched. You're inhaling and you're going to expand that right side, which is very, very good in terms of getting that posterior expansion, which is so important for spinal stability and getting an optimal hip position. Then what you're going to do is exhale and pull your legs back up to the top. So we're inhaling into the movement and pulling back up to the top. And you want to make sure that you're keeping everything rigid, everything is locked in and solid. It is not passive where it's just moving. You want to actively pull, and imagine you're trying to pull your feet from this side here all the way up to the top of the movement again. And this should be challenging. You should really start to feel the TVA, deep core muscles all starting to work in this position. Once you've done 5 in this, then you go into the next position where you go into a slightly more hip extended position. And then what you're going to do is inhale, exhale and rotate up. Now this is technically the beginning of a get up position, but what we're doing here is now teaching the scapula how to move around the rib cage, but we're integrating this hip position into a solid core, rigid trunk position and moving the scapula around it. So what that basically means is we've gone from hip stabilization to shoulder stabilization whilst integrating this core position here. So it's an exhale as we drive up, inhale into the bottom, exhale to the top of the movement, inhale to the bottom, and doing so forth until you've done 5 reps. It's at this position here, you'll probably notice I start to get a lactate build up in the upper abdominals or lower abdominals, but the main thing is you don't lose that rigid intra-abdominal pressure throughout. That is why it's only a few reps per side. So we're just doing 5 reps on each, then you'd switch and replicate the exact same on the left-hand side. I would do this for 1, maybe 2 sets prior to working, so as a primer for the lower body before training, and then I'd do it for maybe 3 sets whilst doing another core stability drill at the end of a session to really fatigue and create an adaptation.